how to be strategically authentic with men. The worst thing you could possibly do when dating a man is to trauma dump your entire backstory on him because you think that's you being more real. All it does is make him desire you less and treat you worse. Why? Because men will always treat you how they perceive you. So it's extremely important to always be in control of your own narrative. Otherwise, the men that you date will have a perception of you that you are undesirable and they will treat you like trash because of it. But then the question becomes, how do you actually do this the right way? Which is exactly what I'm going to be explaining to you on today's show. By the end of this lesson, you'll be so good at strategically being authentic with men, you'll be shocked how much better they will treat you when you finally take control of the perception that they have about you. And for those of you watching live, make sure to submit your personal relationship questions to me via voice or text through the link in my description and also in the pinned comment, because at the end of this lesson, I will be answering all of your questions live. So for point number one, to get us started, you have to know what being strategically authentic actually means. What I'm not saying, okay, I want you to let's be very clear. I'm not saying lie to men. I'm not saying tell them things that are untrue. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying when I say be strategically authentic is understand how to give particular information based on the perception that you want to have and how to withhold certain information based on the perception that you want to have. Now, I'm going to explain the perception you should be going for and why you should be going for it, but I want you to understand it's the gist of what we're trying to do here. You want your perception to be in alignment with what he thinks of you, and what he thinks of you is going to affect how he treats you. All of this is purposeful in nature and doesn't require you to lie or not be honest about who you actually are and what you've actually been through. But framing and understanding how to tell a story and deliver a story with purpose so that it can be marinating in his mind, he can think certain thoughts about it that you're going to be in control of, and then he can come to certain conclusions that you're going to be in control of, but it all feels very organic to him. Okay? Are we on the same page so far on why this is important, right? So let's go into point number two, which is you're going to start off with a blank canvas, and this is going to be amazing. The reason that this is awesome is because your narrative is most easily painted and heavily weighted at the beginning of your relationship with the man. Meaning, when you first start getting to know him and he's getting to know you, he's building his understanding of who you are, what you're about, what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, and what your experiences have been. When it's a blank canvas, you are free to literally paint and structure any narrative that you want. As time goes on, even if you end up making more mistakes, now all of a sudden, because you've spent the time painting that canvas very clearly and controlling that narrative very, very detailed and clearly, now all of a sudden, it becomes harder to change that narrative because he already understands you this way. He's already began to learn you this way, which is actually a positive thing. It lets you know that as long as you put a bulk of the painting and the structuring of the narrative at the beginning and you do that correctly, it's not something where you have to stress yourself over continuing to repaint it. Of course, there will be maintenance, but for the most part, once he grows in that understanding of you, it will start to stick in his brain as this is who you are, which is actually a great thing, okay? Let's go into our next point here. You have to admit that you care, okay? I'm gonna say this again for this point. You must admit to yourself that you care what other people think. I care what other people think. Everyone, celebrities, everyone cares what other people think. We are not designed as humans to be lone wolves where we genuinely don't care what other people think. You will do things at times because you care what other people think about you. The reason I want to say that is because I know I don't care what that man thinks. Oh, I don't care what these men think of me when I go on it. You care. You're attracted to men. It's okay. When I go on dates and I like women, I care what they think as well. We all care. Accepting that will help you understand I do care that the man that I'm dating, that I'm also attracted to, has a positive perception of me. That's okay. The reason I'm saying we have to state that and be very clear about that is because in order for us to paint the positive perception, you must accept I care about having a positive perception. Once we can understand and contextualize that, we can then build you a strategy on how do I paint the right narrative that yields me the right perception, that then gets me the right response from men. So everyone is happy because you're happy with the treatment that you receive, and he's also happy with the perception that he has of you, okay? I'm going to go on into our next point here, okay? Now, I want to explain to you in this next point why the narrative is so important and why you must understand the purpose of the narrative within your man and your relationship with your man. I want to tell you a little bit of a truth as it relates to men. Men will treat you how they perceive you. Gonna say it again so that you don't forget it. The men in your life will treat you how they perceive you. If they perceive you to be a princess, you get treated amazingly by everyone. People go out of their way for you. They love you. They cherish you. They do favors for you. You have access to pretty privilege all your life. They're going to say, oh, so that's the narrative on who you are. Remember, again, it's a blank canvas at the beginning. So he's learning about you, learning about your experiences and learning who you are. When he learns that you're a desirable woman, you have to understand it's in alignment with what he already wants to believe about you, which I'm actually going to get into the next point. And if we understand that you're painting the narrative of being a desirable woman, everything is going to fall into place because it's naturally what he wants to believe about you, since he's obviously attracted to you. Now you're painting a narrative he naturally wanted to believe in, and everything fits together because remember, now he's going to treat you based on the fact that he believes that you are a desirable woman. If he believes you're a desirable woman, he will treat you a lot better than if he believes you're an undesirable woman. Now, let me be very clear as well. When I talk about being desirable, I'm not talking about just being desirable to men that you date. I'm talking about being a desirable, attractive being that is desirable and attractive to everyone, men, women, and everything in between. You are attractive to because your personality is attractive, your aura is attractive, your energy is attractive. Who you are as a person is attractive to other people. So naturally, they treat you, they interact with you, they approach you, they do favors for you as someone who is desirable and attractive. Are we on the same page? Okay. Let's hop into our next point. Okay, which is now at this point, you must control how he sees you. And the crux of this entire thing, right? The men in your life, obviously they treat you how they perceive you. So you have to understand, if I control how he sees me, then I now am in control of my narrative. I then subsequently get control over how he ends up treating me based on his perception of me. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, and I touched on this. When a man meets you, he already, if he's attracted to you physically, you have to understand when he sees you across the room and your hair is flowing and your skin is glowing and you've got the fattest of fat asses, your body is 10 out of 10, he's making a backstory of who you are. He's growing an understanding of what you're about. Now, I know this understanding is not necessarily true because he hasn't actually gotten to know you, hasn't spent any time around you. But when he sees you in the room, moving around, interacting with people, smiling, laughing, dancing, shaking your booty, whatever you're doing, he's putting a backstory in your life. He's filling in the details of your character and your personality. But of course, if he's naturally physically attracted to you, he's going to put in a lot of positive traits into your personality. He's going to assume you're amazing. He's going to assume you're fun. Because naturally, of course, if he's attracted to you, he's not going to want to assume that you have bad traits. Are we on the same page? Let me fix my mic here, okay? What is it doing like that? There we go. Fix my mic, okay? We on the same page so far? Right? He's not going to want to believe in the idea that you are a bad person, just like he's not going to want to believe in the idea that you have bad qualities or bad character traits, because since he's physically attracted to you, he wants to believe that you are a great person, a lot of positive qualities, a lot of great things about you. That's just human nature. Now, what's even more important than that is you have to know, you have to understand, when a man sees you and he's physically attracted to you, he also foundationally wants to believe in the idea that you are a desirable woman. Okay, remember what I just talked about when it relates to desire. I'm not just talking about desirable like the men are horny for you and they want to whack themselves off. I'm talking about being desirable where overall you are attractive to everyone. You get pretty privilege, you get the works, all the favors done for you because you are just such an attractive, desirable being. They already want to believe in that foundationally because they're physically attracted to you. So your job now is to, when you finally do meet him, control that narrative and make sure you deliver to him information that is in alignment with what he already wanted to believe about you. This is why I say this process actually isn't as hard as you might think it will be. It's just about understanding the narrative that he already wants from you, and then building on that narrative by giving him stories and giving him examples and giving him experiences that fit the narrative he already wanted to believe. So when we talk about being a desirable woman, you're just doing the job of understanding what that man wants to hear from you, giving him that information, and withholding the information that wouldn't fit that narrative of you being a desirable woman, a desirable being that people do favors for and do things for and love and cherish. We on the same page, okay? Now, give me a thumbs up if we're on the same page so far. Now, when it comes to our next point here, right? You must be strategic. I'm not saying be dishonest. Like I said earlier in the show for our intro, it's not about me saying you should lie. I'm not saying that you should tell stories that are untrue. What I'm saying is you cherry pick your stories. What I'm saying is you think about this before you get on your date, because you understand the importance of painting the correct narrative. And you spend some time actually thinking about, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? And how does it serve the purpose of painting the narrative that I'm trying to paint to this man? Because if you go on your dates blind, or you just say, I'm just going to figure out what I'm going to say on the date, you're going to default to whatever comes to your mind first. And in some cases, that might be saying the wrong thing that paints the wrong narrative. Okay? You on the same page? All right. So I wanted to kind of discuss the idea, right? And I just touched on it, right? Using the backstory that he already wrote for you and just stepping right into the suit, the armor, the dress that he's already created for you as this beautiful, seductive, attractive woman. You don't need to do anything extra. You just need to understand that based on the fact that he deems you to be attractive, because obviously he's not going to approach you if he doesn't think that you're attractive, it's important that you fit into this suit or dress that he's already created a mold for you, okay? Now, another really important thing to understand about the backstory that he's written for you already is that part of the fact that he deems you to be desirable is because if he didn't deem you to be desirable, he would actually be degrading himself. Let me explain how this works. If I see you and I think you're beautiful, and I think of the idea like, damn, she's so beautiful, gorgeous, and just looks so well put together, I think I would explore the possibility of making her my wife, of getting to know her, seeing what she's about. Like, she has real potential. As a man, if you start thinking to yourself, I could make that woman my woman, like she's on that level, that I would actually want her on that level and to want to maybe get married to her, have children with her. Like, I'm willing to explore a relationship with her very seriously, as a serious possibility. When you accept that reality, you're also saying to yourself that I deem her to have qualities and be in alignment in terms of her desirability, that other men want her. She's desirable to everyone. People treat her well, because naturally as a man, you don't want to believe in the idea that the woman that you want to be with is undesirable. You don't want to believe in the idea that the woman that you want to cherish, you want to marry, you want to get on one knee for and propose to, you don't want to believe in the idea that nobody wants her, that literally she gets stepped on, that she's a doormat for everyone and everyone takes advantage of her and her ex cheated on her 55 times. Because if you believe in that as a man, well, then what you're also accepting is the idea that you as a man are an undesirable man. Because when you're thinking about the fact that if I'm with an undesirable woman, it's a reflection of me and my desirability as a man. So if I choose an undesirable woman, that means I must accept that I'm an undesirable man. Now, let's be honest with ourselves when it comes to men's ego. Do you really think a man is gonna wanna look himself in the mirror and say, I'm an undesirable man because I got with an undesirable woman? Of course not, which is why I say men will treat you how they perceive you. You being desirable serves both you and him because it serves his own ego and how he feels about himself. When he deems you to be desirable, and the narrative that you paint about yourself is that you're desirable, it helps him accept the fact that I do things for this woman, I choose this woman, and I cherish this woman, because since she's desirable, it's also a reflection of my desirability for being the man that's with her. Okay? We on the same page. Sorry, my mic keeps changing its structure here. I gotta keep switching it around. Let me just get on my phone. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are on the same page with me. I know I'm going kind of fast here. Okay, let me just fix my mic. Okay, thumbs up if we're on the same page, not having no technical difficulties, just a little mic fix. But I want to just make sure that you guys are all understanding me. I know I'm going a little bit fast, right? Okay, let's go to our next point, which is another very important concept I want you to know. So for our next point, you have to know you're going to spend 2 hours with him, basically max, because you guys know how I feel about marathon dates, okay? Now, on that date, you have to understand there's only so much time for you to even deliver information. And you're going to be asking him questions. You know, you guys are going to be having a back and forth. So not necessarily the entire time you're going to even be sharing information in the first place. So now the question becomes, how do I maximize the amount of information I deliver to him with purpose, serving the purpose of making sure he deems me to be a desirable person, an attractive person, a desirable human being, and minimizing the amount of information and time spent talking about things that make me look undesirable. Right? It's just about understanding the preference of what you want to talk about and what you want to leave out. There's limited time here, and you don't want to spend, because this is the mistake, you end up, going on a rant. And so you have a lot of stuff on your chest, and then he asks you a couple of questions and he prompts you, and then by the time he prompts you, you start spilling all of this unnecessary information that builds the narrative that you don't want, that you're undesirable, that people take advantage of you, that they walk all over you. And then by the time the 2 hours on the date is finished, you've spent basically 3/4 of that, right? And all of a sudden, you're now in a position where the date is ending and all the information you got to deliver was information about how you're so undesirable. Do you see how that can be disadvantageous to you? We on the same page? Okay. Now, let's go into our next point. Okay. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. For this next point, you have to make sure you're not just painting a narrative that you look desirable to the men that you date, because that's going to come across a little bit disingenuous, because it's going to seem like you're trying really hard to be like, yeah, my last man wanted to propose, and I really like men who propose, and I've only been with men who propose. It's going to be a little bit too on the nose. So what you want to do is you're going to talk about not just the men that you dated, but you're also going to talk about family members. You're also going to talk about friendships. You're also going to give stories about strangers that have just spontaneously done really nice things for you just for the sake of doing really nice things for you, right? It's going to be a Rolodex of a bunch of different stories that help to build the overall narrative that you are an attractive being. Remember, right? You're a woman, yes, but I mean, like, to other human beings, they all see you as attractive. Men and women see you as attractive. They all interact with you that you're attractive and desirable, right? The narrative is holistic, not just for the men that you date, it's for everyone. All right? So, now we get to what I guess we could call is the juicy part, the good part, okay? So, you must prepare yourself for the X question. What I mean by that is, anticipate certain topics will be discussed anytime you go out on a date. That's just the reality. One of those topics is definitely going to be about your previous relationships. This is a perfect opportunity to interject stories that help support the narrative that you are a desired and desirable woman, attractive to everyone, specifically your previous partners. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, what? But this is my ex. How am I supposed to prepare, answers that make me seem really desirable? Because if I was really that desirable, wouldn't we still be together? No, I'm going to explain to you exactly how you do this properly. But I want you to anticipate that one of the ways you're going to interject your narrative is by preparing the answers and the way you talk about your previous relationship. Okay? Good? Make sure we're all good. Okay? Now, let me explain to you, so just bear with me because we're going to go deep into this whole example so that you can know exactly what you're going to do here. So for this next point, I want you to understand you're going to withhold certain information. I'm going to explain to you exactly what that information is going to be. The reason you're going to withhold certain information as it relates to talking about your previous relationship, you do not want him to think. Men, especially the men that you love and the men that you call your boyfriend or your husband or you've been in relationships with, you do not want them to think that those men generally treat you horribly. If you tell men that my previous partners treated me horribly, they're going to say, okay, that means you're undesirable. That means you're unattractive. That means I should also treat you horribly because that's what you're already accustomed to. This is why I say you're being strategically authentic. You're withholding certain information because you know this information is not going to paint the narrative that is advantageous to you. Doesn't mean that you have to lie. You're just withholding this information. And even when you do talk about this information, you're going to talk about it and frame it in a very particular way, which I'm going to discuss to you, because you want to make sure that you control the narrative and you control how he receives that information rather than taking it the wrong way. Okay? We're very clear. Now, let me go into how this works. So, for this point, you're going to skip ugly details. When I say ugly details, at no point will you tell them exactly how the previous guy treated you completely like garbage. So what I mean by that is, let's say hypothetically, the previous guy that you dated, he cheated on you 15 times. One time he cheated on you with your sister. One time he cheated on you with your best friend. And the time with your best friend, you literally walked into the room and you seen him inside her. Okay? Even if your situation was that traumatizing, you will not tell him the trauma associated with that situation. So I want you to, let's use this as an example. Your ex cheated on you 15 times. It was a really horrible and traumatic situation and relationship. Instead of saying that, what you're going to say, I'm going to give you exactly how I would reframe this. You know, me and my ex, there was a point where I thought we were in alignment and we wanted the same things in our relationship. And then as time went on, it started to become clear to me, based on just a bunch of things that I was seeing, even some of them really, really small, that we just weren't in alignment in terms of how seriously we were taking this relationship. And I'm someone where I don't hold people hostage, but if I see that you're not as invested in the relationship as I am, I'm just going to walk away, which is exactly what I did. I left that situation and I'm never looking back, because once someone has an opportunity to properly put their best foot forward and they don't, I don't feel sorry for them if they couldn't do that right the first time. And so now here we are, where I don't talk to that ex, he's blocked, and I'll never speak to him again, because again, when you have an opportunity to do right in the relationship and you're not taking the relationship seriously, I move my life forward. Do you see how none of that was a lie? Because if you guys broke up, even though he cheated on you and you guys broke up because of it, nothing that I just said there was not true, right? You came to a realization, hey, me and this person are not in alignment. I realized through a bunch of things that happened in the relationship, but mainly just the overall sentiment that me and this person were not in alignment, and me realizing that they're not taking the relationship as serious as I am. And then at that point, once I realized that and I've decided that this no longer serves me, I move forward with my life. Nothing about what I just said makes your actual quote unquote situation untrue, but it reframes and recontextualizes everything about your situation that makes him receive it so much differently than if you were to say, yeah, he cheated on me 15 times and I took him back every single time, and he cheated on me with my best friend and my sister too. Right? So let me kind of explain to you why this is so important and break down what I just did there. So you must always reframe and recontextualize any situation that you are describing to a man, whether it be about your ex, a family member, whatever the case may be. Always reframe it as your decision. You are not a victim in any aspect, okay? You will always make sure that when men get a chance to hear you and hear about your life story, hear especially about your previous situation, your previous ex, always talk about the fact that you come to your own realizations, you analyze information, and you act on that information. You are never sitting back docile while other people do things to you, treat you like garbage, and you're just like, oh, I just accepted all that bad treatment because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't ask anyone. I couldn't go to anyone. And I was so scared of walking away, and I was so scared of. Never, ever, ever make yourself sound like someone who doesn't know how to make decisions, someone who's not action oriented, someone who just like sits back while other people do to you. I know, see, this is the problem. When you've been reading stories, watching movies, all these ways that you've been consuming media, there's been people tend to tell stories in a way where it's like big scary monster against good innocent person, big scary monster do evil things to good innocent person. So there can be a natural skew when you tell your own stories of your own experiences to make yourself the small innocent person, and the big scary monster punched on you and hit you and took advantage of you and did all these. Don't do that. You are very aware. You are very vigilant. When you make realizations and analyzations, you make decisions. You don't sit back waiting for people to cross you 55 times. You don't sit back and wait for people to show you who they are 100 times. No. Hey, you have an opportunity, you waste your opportunity, you're done. My decision then moves forward, and I go along with that decision, and I don't look back. Right? Very important. When you tell your stories, you interject that narrative as well. Are we on the same page? Right? Someone says, can I ask a question? Of course. You see the link in my pinned comment and in my description. That's for your personal questions. And of course, if you have a question, I will answer them at the end of the lesson as well. Okay? Now, for our next point, right, is when I say trim the story to its gist, like its most important parts, I'm not saying tell him that he cheated on you 15 times. What I'm saying is tell him the sentiment behind the story. So rather than saying my ex cheated on me 15 times, me and my ex were not in alignment. Same thing, but you're taking away all of the elements that make you look like, well, you let your man cheat on you 15 times, and you're interjecting me and this ex weren't in alignment, and so I move forward from that relationship. Do you get what I'm saying? So never be so obsessed with I'm not being my authentic self because I'm not telling him the details of how when I walked into the room, I was seeing him literally busting a nut inside my best girlfriend. There's no need for that detail. There's no purpose to that except to make you look like Boo Boo the Fool, right? Don't do that. Let these men understand the gist of your stories and an understanding of the general knowledge of why you and this ex broke up while not making yourself look like a victim, which is actually going to be my next point, which I'm going to get into right now, okay? Never in a million years will you play a victim. Let me listen very closely to this point. Never in a million years, when you tell a man a story of anything you've been through, will you paint yourself as the victim. Remember, the very important narrative, foundational narrative to a man desiring you and wanting to be with you and being attracted to you, he believes you are a desirable woman. Not only does he believe that you're a desirable woman, he believes that other people treat you as a desirable woman. You are attractive to everyone. Do not paint yourself, whether you're telling stories about your ex or your family or your friendships, do not paint yourself as the victim. What will happen when you begin having this mindset of I was the victim of this circumstance, you will tell your story from a victim's standpoint. For example, you'll tell the my ex cheated on me 15 times story. Oh, and so I was just there and I was calling my best friend and my best friend was literally having sex with my boyfriend at the time while I was on the phone, and I was trying to get him because I was like, hey, we don't really hang out that much. And then, she was literally having sex with him while we were on the phone. And I was hearing her moaning. I was like, what's going on? What are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm massaging myself and the massage is so good. You will spiral out of control. I guarantee you, on your date and even in your explanation, once you interject the victim narrative, you will spiral completely out of control and you'll tell the entire story, and then it'll just be like from one thing to the other. You'll tell this traumatic victim story, and then you'll go into the next traumatic victim story, and then the next one and the next one. And the problem is, especially if he's good at asking follow-up questions, the whole thing, like everything you say for the next 2 hours will just be victim story after victim story after victim story after victim story. And this is where I must be honest with you. Men are not attracted to victims. Again, I'm here to really be a guide and a help to you. I can't sugarcoat stuff, okay? Men are not attracted to victims because they see women who are victims as people who are undesirable. People who get taken advantage of generally are unattractive people. That's how we perceive things, which is why they assume you got taken advantage of. I'm just trying to tell you the real. So when you're painting yourself as a victim in your relationships with the guys that you're just starting to meet and date, you might be thinking, oh, well, I'm garnering sympathy. You're not. You're actually doing the opposite. You're making them very unattracted to you. And okay, this is gonna sound very weird, and I don't wanna make this sound the wrong way or make men all sound evil, but I do have to be real about this. You are inviting and enticing the energy of the people that, if there was ever someone that could allow themselves to get taken advantage of, I wouldn't be against it. So, as weird as this might sound, if you build a narrative that you are a victim, you actually start to invite the energy from the men that you meet that, you know what? This probably would be a really good person to take advantage of. And what you can find is the user men, the men who want to not just treat you poorly, but extract resources from you. Those will be the men that are really attracted to you, that are really into you. Because when you start telling victim story after victim story after victim story, they're kind of like, they're getting hard mentally and physically, because now they're salivating over all the ways they can take advantage of you too. Because clearly, right, especially if you're telling victim story after victim story after victim story, and you paint it as if like, I'm still a victim now, they're like, oh, perfect prey. Oh, so tender. Oh, so ready to get taken advantage of. Oh, has not learned her lesson, not one little bit. So I can play the same role. I can do the same things. And already they're thinking in their mind, I'm better, bigger D, more amazing, more smarter, more intelligent than even her past ex. So the fact that she's playing a victim and she got taken advantage of like this by that guy and he's an idiot. Oh, wait till I get my chance. And again, I know it sounds scary. I'm not saying that will be all men, but I'm telling you, some men will hear the victim stories, they will get hard because they're waiting for their opportunity to take advantage of someone who's right to be taken advantage of. Which is why I say never, never, ever tell your stories and frame them from the standpoint of you are a victim. I don't care what happened to you. Let them know, hey, I'm aware of what happened to me. I know what happened to me, and I make decisions for myself based on, hey, this situation didn't work out for me, and I'm moving forward. It's a choice, though. Not someone did something to me, and I was a victim, and everything happens to me, and they step all over me. Never, ever will you paint yourself as that. You on the same page? Okay. Now, another very important aspect of how you deliver information strategically, but still authentically, you always make sure to inject the narrative that you gladly walk away from situations that no longer serve you. Remember how I talked about earlier in being action-oriented, meaning that you don't just sit by idly and wait for someone to treat you like a punching bag over and over and over again before you finally walk away from the situation. You are someone who's very, very comfortable walking away from a situation that doesn't serve you. And it doesn't make you feel sad. It doesn't make you feel regret. It doesn't make you look back on it and wish that you could be with the person. No, you have a very clear understanding and a peace within you that the right person for you will present themselves to you by treating this relationship with respect and going about it on an ongoing basis as if they value the relationship. If there is ever a time where someone you're with stops doing that, you will be hyper aware of that, at which point you will walk away from the relationship. Make things, as it relates to the decisions that you make, very simple in the way that you frame them. I am a loving person. I am a caring person. However, I don't do things that don't serve me. If I get to a point where I realize the situation doesn't serve me, I am happy to walk away because the most important person's happiness in my life is my own. And you can say that and deliver that information with a smile while you twirl your hair and still be very feminine with it, but still be very stern that he understands this is what you should expect from me. Are we on the same page here? Okay. Now, this overall concept, I want you to take in and absorb because it's going to apply to any other story that you could tell, even outside of the story about the previous relationships. You want to make sure when you deliver information, because remember, you only have 2 hours on that date, most of the time. You want to make sure when you do deliver information, always use the stories you tell as a preview of what he should expect with you. Because we do this thing as human beings where we say words, but not all the time the words that we say have the same meaning and intention behind them. So naturally, you have to get good at delivering a message without saying the words. Let me explain to you how this works. Remember how I talked about if you're talking about your previous ex in your previous relationship, interjecting, hey, I'm not a victim. I walk away when things don't serve me. I'm action-oriented. I'm not just going to sit back and be a punching bag to people. When I realized me and my ex weren't in alignment, I walked away. He can never speak to me again. He can't even wipe my shoes. What you're really saying when you say that is, you better tighten up and make sure you know what to expect when it comes to me. Because I'm telling you a story right now about me and my ex, but it really could be a horror story for you. Because if you think you're going to come in my life and you're going to do the same things that my ex may have done, you're sadly mistaken, buddy. Your D ain't big enough. You're not tall enough. You're not handsome enough. Your smile not great enough. You're not funny enough. You're not charming enough for none of that. So hear me when I say my ex that thought he could play some games, he felt my wrath. And he can't never hear from me ever again. At this point, you better be taking credence to that and hearing what I'm saying in relation to this story could be either a preview of your upcoming future if you choose to act a fool, or this story could be a cautionary tale where you never have to experience this because you go about this relationship correctly. Are we on the same page? Right? Someone said there's a voice delay. Is there? I hope not. Okay. All right. Let's go into our next point here, right? So remember for our next point here, remember how I was talking about earlier that it's not just the story of your previous ex or your previous relationship because you'll have many stories. It's also about the idea of how people in general treat you. So make sure that you don't just stick to, oh, only talking about the last guy that you dated or the last guy that you were talking to. Also give them stories about family and friends and even strangers, okay? And that's okay to give them a plethora of different stories. I want you to give them a plethora of different stories because it will give them a chance to see from different angles that, you know, all people treat you well. You're always having situations where people go out of their way for you and do nice things for you. It doesn't just have to be in one specific area. What it will also do is contextualize the idea that, again, you are a desirable and attractive human being. We're not just talking about men who might be horny for you. We're talking about everyone in your life, okay? Which brings me to my next point, which is you have to cherry pick the stories that you give men. So what I mean by this is when you go out on your dates, you should have an understanding of these are the stories that I know I regularly tell on my dates because I know these stories perfectly represent the information that I want him receiving and the narrative that I want him painting in his mind about me. So let's say, for example, right, you have a mom who, when you were in college, she used to bring you home cooked meals every week because she wanted to make sure you're good, and she would drive an hour to bring you home cooked meals. That's a cherry pick story that you can use to interject and build the narrative. People do nice things for you. Oh, you know, me and my dad, we always love to go out for ice cream. You can even give, because I know some of you be like, but my family is trash, they don't do nothing for me. But my friends are trash, they don't do nothing for me. You can even interject a story about a stranger. You could say, literally, one day I was on the side of the road because I got a random flat tire, and then this person pulled up, literally a stranger I've never met before, was like, hey, you having a problem with your car? And then they literally jacked my car up, fixed my flat tire, no questions asked. I didn't pay them. I don't know them from nothing. And was like, hey, perfect, you're all good now. And I was on my way, and I would have been stuck and stranded there, like, because my mom wasn't available. I couldn't call anyone. My friends weren't available, and I was going to be waiting there for like 2 hours. This person just came and helped me out of nowhere. Again, I know you're thinking, is that really going to like do anything? Yes, because remember, it's painting a narrative. He already wanted to believe in the idea that people are seeing you so desirable, so enamored by you that they just spontaneously combust, doing nice, amazing things for you. You experience pretty privilege on a daily basis from strangers, family, friends. Everyone is always dying to do things for you. That is in alignment with you being an attractive, desirable person. And so it perfectly fits the narrative that he already wanted to believe in. So when you cherry pick these stories, it allows you to be prepared when you go out on your dates, right? Which leads me to my next point here, right? You are reinforcing what he already wants to believe in all of the things that you share with him. And what also cherry picking the stories does for you positively is it prepares you to be able to go on your dates and have the things that you want to interject and you want to tell him already. Because, okay, I don't want to be mean here. Some of you I know are naturally negative people. That's okay. You can work on that. Some of you here will naturally be pessimists, meaning when I tell you, hey, bring up good stories about your life and the things you've been through, some of you will be thinking, I have no good stories. Everyone treats me like trash. My mom is horrible. My dad's horrible. My brothers and sisters are garbage. My friends, none of them care about me. I have no friends. My coworkers all hate me. All the strangers, they slap me in the face. They all hate me. If you are that way, you have to understand you're taking that energy into your dates. So the men that you meet will also be receiving that energy from you. They will then be questioning, okay, does it even make sense to be pursuing and desiring this woman? Because clearly there's not 1 ounce of care, desire, nobody cherishes her, nobody does anything for her. So why am I going to be the first guy to ever do that? Right? So if you're naturally someone who's pessimistic and negative, you definitely need to cherry pick exactly what your stories are going to be. Because by the time you get on this date, if you make the mistake, because you can easily spiral out of control, where a guy asks you a couple questions about your life, and then you start going and going and going, and then before you know it, you're on a 3-hour trauma dump, okay? And this is why you have to be very protective for yourself and the information that you give to make sure to not spontaneously combust and start spiraling down a dark rabbit hole of all the things that are horrible about your life and all the horrible ways you get treated by people. Because I promise you, if you can continue down the narrative that you are desirable and attractive to everyone and they treat you as such, he will be happy with that narrative and he will begin to treat you underneath that narrative that he already wanted to believe in the first place because he found you physically attractive. We on the same page on how that works? Okay. Now, do you guys have any questions about the lesson that we just discussed here before we go into our live question segment? Okay. Right. Neon says, Tomisin, do you tell guys that are inexperienced in relationships and pineapples, what if a girl has never had pineapples before? What's a good strategy for inexperienced in dating? Again, Neon, that's a great point and a great question. Even if you are inexperienced in dating, don't make your inexperience seem like you are a victim of your inexperience. Even your inexperience, you can say, has been a choice, which is, I have not found, let me give you an example of how you would deliver that information. I have not found anyone that I deem to be like a good potential partner that I even had the desire to explore a romantic relationship with that person. And so I haven't gone on a bunch of dates with a bunch of people because I didn't even think any of the men that I've met were good enough to for me to actually explore a romantic relationship with those people. You see how it's the same information, but delivered in a way where it is a choice I have made, as opposed to nobody's wanted to date me, so I haven't been on a date because nobody asked me. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? There's a difference. Framing is very important, right? Someone says, are you announcing the lives or can we just ask questions? So go to the link in the pinned comment and in the description, because I'm not saying that I won't answer questions here. It's just that if you have like an actual situation, I want to be able to answer it in a more detailed way, but you can deliver it. You can't type as much here. There's not as much focus on your individual question. That's why I say that, okay? Oh, Akia, you told me how to pronounce your name. Akia says, so if I give him the narrative that I'm perfect and he actually believes it, even tells me, then why doesn't he act as if I'm perfect? Well, okay, first of all, when you say you give the narrative that you are perfect, nobody's perfect, so you shouldn't be delivering that narrative. That's not what I'm saying when I say deliver him the narrative he already wants to believe in. What I'm saying is deliver him the narrative that you are an attractive and desirable person. Of course, you'll have flaws. That's not the point of the stories that you're telling. My concern is when you're saying, I tell him that I'm perfect, does he actually believe that? Because believing that someone's perfect is quite unrealistic. Maybe that's why he's not acting as if you're perfect, right? Cherry says, what if your, Tomisin, what if your fam is toxic, but there comes a point for the partner to meet your family? How long should you keep the bad relationship a secret? So, okay, that's a great question. Even if your family is toxic, of course you can cherry pick different stories that aren't family related. And again, even if, let's say for whatever reason, you have to describe your situation or relationship with your family, you minimize the details that you tell him about how horrible your experiences have been with your family. And if he has to meet that family, make sure you always curate the environment and curate how long or how much he gets to meet or see of that family. I'm not saying he should never meet your family, but assuming your family is in your life, curate as much as you can the experience that he has with and around that family. What you also have to be mindful of is, like, if you're gonna, let's say, have dinner with your man and your family, probably not a time to, because you know, Cherry, there will be certain topics with your family that will start a fight or an argument. There will be certain, like, you know your parents well enough and your family well enough. If certain things start getting discussed or if certain trigger points get hit, it will cause a ruckus, whether it be amongst your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad. So what you do is if this is a setup of like, hey, we're gonna have dinner, you make sure that everyone is understanding, hey, we're not like we need to be good and be like not fight around this person. And then number two, if he's gonna meet your family, make sure you anticipate the things that could possibly go wrong and curate by making sure, okay, if I know these certain topics will trigger, we're not gonna discuss those. If I even notice something is going down, because you can kind of sense too, it's your family. You get a sixth sense for like once a certain type of conversation starts, you kind of know how it will escalate and where it'll go. You have to step on those things. And I'm not, I get it. It's like, oh, but that's stressful. And why do I have to do that? I'm just saying in the scenario in which someone has to meet your family, you have to be in anticipation of those things. And what you have to do to make sure even beforehand, minimize the things that aren't necessary for him to know. Like he doesn't need to know the whole backstory on the trauma. And if someone in your family has treated you that badly, then your man doesn't even need to be meeting them anyways. Just tell them you don't really talk to that person, okay? Which is perfectly fine. Okay. Akia says, look desirable to everyone. How do we tell our stories while simultaneously not supposed to be speaking about ourselves? What's a healthy balance? Well, of course, when you go on a date, a guy's gonna ask you some questions about yourself. Of course, you'll be asking questions, but you'll also be answering questions because at some points, even if you're asking a great question, he might just say, what about you? And then you have to be prepared for, like, for example, if you ask him a bunch of great questions about his previous relationship and he says, what about you? You can't be discombobulated and be like, I wasn't expecting you to ask me any questions about me. You have to be understanding of the fact that, okay, if he's gonna ask me a question, what about me? I should already prepare my answer of how I'm gonna deliver that information and then also interject stories that support the idea that I am a desirable, attractive woman. You get what I'm saying? So you kind of use the fact that you know what questions you're going to ask him to anticipate the fact that he'll probably ask you the same questions back and then prepare your answers in that light, which is an easy way to kind of balance that, okay? Aisha says, I was telling that if you are the one that works hard for your family and the understanding person just for the peace of the family, you would never want him to interpret that. You'll always understand him. Again, if you are the piece of the family and if you are the person that kind of keeps everything together, that's fine. Keep that information to yourself. Like, I'm not saying don't be honest with men and don't share that side of yourself, but what relevance is it to you to share on the first couple of dates? By the way, I keep my whole family situation together and without me, everything would fall apart because they're all monsters and everyone's crazy. What purpose is that serving? None. Especially for the narratives, because remember, like I said earlier, what narrative are you trying to build? You want that man to treat you well because you want him to desire you. You want him to see you as desirable. I'm not saying you can never share information about yourself because remember what I said at the beginning of the show, which is that painting your narrative is weighted most heavily at the beginning. Once you've painted your narrative and he's come to an understanding of how to treat you and how to go about a relationship with you, now over the course of time, you can start telling him a little bit more about your situation and how things work and your family and your friendships and things like that, and giving him a little bit more detail. But remember, you've already spent the beginning half painting that narrative properly in a lot of detail, so he understands you to be a certain way, that this isn't now changing his whole understanding of you. Whereas if you paint that narrative the wrong way at the beginning, now you're gonna start trying to undo that the rest of the relationship. We on the same page? Okay, let's hop into our next segment, which is our questions segment that come live from all of you on the show. Some of them are coming from the day before because we don't necessarily get to every single question because there's a lot of questions. So we're going to listen to a bunch of different questions from people on the show and that have been watching the show, which is awesome. Oops. So let me pull this up for all of you. So I want to just explain to you all real quick how this works. So when you go to the link in my description, you can submit your question to me. Now, ideally, it would be a voice question because I love the voice questions. They give us a chance to actually hear you and see that you're a real person in your situation. And also, they're just more fun. Now, if you send in a text question, you will have your question, it's obviously your still question typed out, but you'll have your question read out by an AI reader. But nevertheless, don't worry, these are all real questions and real people, so these are not made up situations at all. So you'll know if you send in your own question, these are real situations. So just be aware of that. So this one comes from Demi, who's 29, and I believe this one is a voice message submission. So we'll start off with her.
So this guy has asked me out many times so far, but every time he asked me out, it's like in last minute, like I'm in your area, I'm nearby, I'm here for an hour, like that, blah, blah, blah. And I told him what you told me to tell him that, and also because I don't like that as well. So I told him that, look, I want a scheduled date, not a last minute. And his reply was that, what was his reply? He was like, okay, well, let's do that someday then. Yeah. And right after that, he was like,
His response to, I don't do last minute dates, you got to plan one with me. He was like, let's do that someday. I already don't like where this is going.
You can just wear the shoes and come out. It's so easy. And I'm assuming maybe because I told him that I live nearby, so maybe that's why he said what he said. But I told him again, right after that, I don't live that near. And even if I would, even if I lived near, I wouldn't, come in the last minute, of course.
This is why you have to make it, it's not about how close we live together. That's not why. When you're telling a guy this, and for those of you ever who are in this situation, anytime you're explaining to a guy why you don't do last minute plans, don't base it off of, oh, it's going to take me a while to get, no, it's not about that. It's, hey, I have a life. My life consists of hanging out with my friends. I have hobbies. I have passions. I have work. I have things to do. My family wants to hang out. My friends want to hang out. Even my coworkers ask me to go out for drinks. So with all of that being said, I have to plan my week out because everyone wants my time, okay? I'm a busy girl. I have lots of things to do. With that being said, I literally, whether I'm in the same apartment as you, if I live beside you, I cannot just drop everything that I plan to do for the entire week to say, well, today's Tuesday and you feel like hanging out with me, so I'm gonna go hang out. It's not a matter of how close you live. It's not a matter of how far you live. It's a matter of I have a life. You must help men understand, any men that you're dating, I have a life. My life has been existing before you came in it. I don't care how much I like you, I will still have a life. I don't care how sexy you are, I will still have a life. I don't care how big your penis is, I will still have a life. So respect that I have a life. That's how you have to explain that.
And when he said that, okay, let's do that. Let's try that someday. And I was like, okay, when you're going to try, then you can meet me. And I told him that, for me, because we had this call one night, and in that call, he told me that obviously he was pretty attracted to me, and he asked me the same question, and I couldn't say yes right away, but like he asked me like 3 times, and I was like, yeah, yeah. And then I told him that I'm not attracted to you right now. Like I told him right now, after the whole scheduled date thingy, that I'm not attracted to you. Let me explain it. Like, for me, I am attracted to a person mentally, like through their mindset, and that what matters to me the most. Like, if I'm attracted to a person mentally, I automatically get physically attracted to them. But if I'm not mentally attracted to them, like I am to you right now, because man, I don't even know you or your mentality, so that physical attraction, it like goes away in the blink of an eye. So, yeah, you know, and I said it not exactly like this, but related to this way that I told the guy in the voice note that, the only way that I can get attracted is by talking with you and knowing you. And then I said, attracted again, because like we used to study together actually in university 7 years ago. Yeah, we used to know each other. We were like supernova close. But
So the problem as well here with your specific situation, Demi, is he might be basing how he treats you off of his old understanding of you, which is that, hey, we're close, we're buddies, we vibed, we used to study together, we used to be in study hall together. You'd pull up, hey, I'm about to study, I'm about to head to the library right now, pull up on me right now. So of course, when you're in university and maybe you weren't considering dating this guy, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll pull up to the library right now, whatever the vibes are, I'm down. But life changes. And this is where, in this new portion of, because that was 7 years ago, you guys are in a totally different places in your life. And you're going to have to really, really help him understand. When I say help him understand, you're going to have to really be firm in order to course correct his old understanding of you, which is him thinking, hey, everything's a vibe. We just vibe. We don't have to worry about too much. We're best buddies. No, no, no. I'm a grown woman now. So all the stuff that you were experiencing of me back then when we were in college and university, that's not the same woman now. That's not the same Demi now. So if you're going to continue treating our situation as if I'm that girl, you're going to be very disappointed with your result. You have to make that very clear and stand by that.
like, yeah. But then, he didn't confess or anything, but like we knew there was something between us because the whole friends group knew that. And now he has somewhat, I don't even know, come back. So please do let me know. Like, is he just another fake lust digger, just looking for lust or something? Or is it like something real? I don't know. And obviously, we're of the same age group. We used to be the classmates. So, what should I do now? Like, I told him that I want him to talk with me, right? So that's the way he can get me attracted towards him again. And so far, it's just been less than 24 hours and he hasn't messaged me yet. So, what should I do now?
Sorry, I was muted there. Sorry. So my point being is, once you have that conversation with him and you let him know how you feel about that, he then has to make a decision on how he wants to show up for you in that relationship. Now, in a couple of days' time, if all of a sudden you experience him doing the same thing, and like I think you mentioned that a couple of days after you had that conversation with him, or that same time, he was like, "Yeah, we'll see what happens, and maybe at some point, like we'll do this thing." If that's his like approach, then you have to be like, okay, buddy, you're never gonna speak or hear from me again, right? Like, because it's either you do the thing my way, and if you can't do the thing my way, well, then you're just not gonna get access to me. You have to keep things very simple for men. And this is where, Demi, you have to, play hardball, which is if I'm telling you the adjustment that needs to be made, if you cannot make the adjustment on an ongoing basis and I see that no adjustment is being made, I'm just going to stop talking to you. And I'm not even going to answer your messages when you're like, hey, what's up? Because for some men, that's the only way that they understand it's either your way or the highway. If they want access to you, that's how they get it. If they can't do that, well then too bad, so sad, you're not going to feel sorry for them. Okay. Someone said, Tommy, we heard this one yesterday. Oh, did you guys? Oh, my apologies. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go into, let's see, we have Julius to do this. I go from oldest to newest, okay? So let's do Julius.
Hi, Tomisin. I've noticed that every guy so far I've dated had a weird mommy's boy type relationship with his mother. In the beginning, when we started talking, it never struck me as a red flag, since it's not the son's fault the dad is being absent from his life, and his mother stays and takes good care of him. The issue starts when said son grows up and is still hyper-dependent on his mom, relies on her for money, and making big life decisions. In the end, it always feels like they prioritize their mother over me, and while I try my best to befriend her, it always feels like a sort of competition between us, which is just tiring. It's genuinely frustrating to fall victim to these kinds of men because in the beginning, I'm always choosing to believe that he's not like the rest I dated. Any tips on how I can move forward? Should I completely stop dating men with daddy issues once that's clear? What's your stance on mommy boys? Or do you think they could be tamed by the right girl?
So, okay, the actual crux of your problem, Julia, is, okay, and I know I'm not trying to say you're a bad person. Mommy's boys are attracted to women who act like mommies. Do you get what I'm saying? Naturally, those type of men who are very dependent on their mom will look for the women who seem like, it's not just about being competent, because competence is not the issue. It's the women that seem like, yes, I will take care of you. Yes, I have enough masculine energy in me that I will want to do those things for you without you having to take care of them. And I know you're thinking, well, how do they think that I give off that mentality? It can be in the energy that they receive from you, and it can also be in the way that you talk to people about yourself and your own experiences. For example, I know that you're talking to us about this. You better not be going on your dates and telling the men that you're dating that a lot of the guys that I meet have mommy issues or want me to be them. You better not be doing that. It actually fits perfectly in what we're talking about today, which is you frame from the right narrative. Why would you tell these men that you're on a date with that, hey, all of my previous exes have been mommy's boys? Definitely no, okay? I also don't want you to start telling, the guys that you date that you tend to, do everything for your men or anything along those lines. And the other thing I would say is when you get on dates, in order to identify how much of a mommy's boy a man is, ask him questions about his own independence, meaning his work, his life, his routine. Does he live alone? Does he live with his mom still? Does he live with his grandma? Is there someone taking care of him? Ask him also, make a joke about it. Oh, how good are you of a cook? Oh, I don't cook at all. How do you eat then? Oh, my mom comes, she delivers me food every week. Okay, that clearly states someone who's still very dependent, right? Oh, if you're married to someone, who do you think would be taking care of the laundry? Oh, probably my wife. Oh, what, you're not good at doing laundry? You don't like to fold clothes? No, I don't really know how to do it. Right? You'll start getting a sense of the men who are more and less independent, right? Chances are the men who are less independent will be dependent on someone. The men who are naturally more independent, oh, I know how to cook really good. I could cook this, I could cook that. Oh yeah, my place, if you're over to their place at one point, if you see it's clean, you see it's taken care of, and you know that he lives by himself, more likely that his independence will be less likely of a mommy's boy. The mommy's boys are always still depending on their mommy, so you can really extract that information just by understanding his natural lifestyle. And you'll get that out of him there. Now, I know it's like, oh, but that's going to be the first date. And what if the first date, I realize he's a mommy's boy, but then don't go on a second date with him. At least then you'll avoid being in a 6-month relationship with the guy. And then the other aspect of that is when you get into a relationship with the guy and very on from the jump, do not be jumping at trying to fix men's problems. Because that can be another reason why you end up with mommy's boys, because as soon as they tell you something going on in their life, you're like jumping to be like, I want to fix this for you, or why didn't I do this for you, or I'll drive and I'll deliver you medicine, and it's like you just start getting on this path very early, and then the mommy's boys love that because they're like, oh, perfect, another mommy to take care of me. You get what I'm saying? Okay, let's go on to our next question here. Someone said, guys, Julia is me, I'm not AI. I think I changed it also to use people's real names because I think what happened was people were using their aliases because it was like, what should I call you on the show? And then it was leading to people be like, wait, is this a real person? Everyone's question is a real question. I promise you, even if it seems kind of ridiculous, these are real submissions. I don't have time to make any of these submissions up. Okay. Let me go on. This one's from Cleopatra. Did we do this one yesterday?
In continuation to my previous message regarding training of men, you mentioned to look for the progression. It makes sense in early dating. But what if someone keeps the progression for, let's say, 4 to 5 years, till they get and learn things from you which were important to build them, their personality, their career, and then decide to show that they didn't learn and were just pretending for so long?
Okay, Cleopatra, I get what you're saying from the standpoint of like, oh, if we're training our man and he's doing right for so long, and then 4 or 5 years after that, he decides to do a complete switch up. Unfortunately, there's no like recipe or cure for that. The reality of it is, anytime you date a person, you inherently take a risk, which is that you cannot be in complete control of the outcome. That person could lie to you for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And all of a sudden, you wake up one day after 25 years of knowing someone and they do a complete 180 switch up on you. Unfortunately, whether you're a man or a woman, you're taking that risk by being in a relationship. So, of course, you can put your best foot forward, you can watch shows like mine, you can absorb information, you can know everything there is to know about a romantic relationship and really, really do the best that you can. But at the end of the day, you cannot actually control what someone else does or doesn't do. So if someone else chooses to be a perfect actor and trick you perfectly all the way up to 5, 6, 7, 10, 5, 15 years, unfortunately, there's nothing you can actually do about that. And I know it sucks because it's like, but how do I protect you can't. There's nobody that if you do the part of, putting your best foot forward, being vigilant, asking questions, trying to extract information, and someone just lies and lies and lies and hides and hides and hides, and you never find out until 10 years later, that's just the reality of life. We all take that risk when we get into a relationship with another person. Of course, we all hope to be in a relationship with someone who's amazing and cares and will be consistent, which is why I tell you to be so vigilant about character traits and the things that you can look out for, but there's always going to be risk in that sense. You can't control what someone else chooses to or to not do. You obviously can give yourself a better chance of being successful and knowing what that person is about, but it's never going to be 100%. There's no guarantees in life. That's just part of something you have to accept if you're going to explore a romantic relationship. If you want guarantees, then be single for the rest of your life. That's just, you know what I mean? Like I can't give you a magical fairy dust answer that I know is not real. We all take risks when we get into a relationship. We can, of course, defend ourselves against that, but it's never going to be absolutely perfect from someone who wants to continuously lie. Okay? This one comes from Love, 33, United States. Let's see what Love has to say.
This one is a little bit wild, but there's a guy I work with. His girlfriend used to work there too, and we all work together. Long story short, he started hovering around me, and his girlfriend became suspicious. Nothing ever happened between us, but there has always been a very deep connection and powerful attraction between us. Things became so noticeable that his girlfriend started moving into...
Hold on. Okay? These kind of questions upset me. I'll hear you out, Love. I'll hear out what you're saying. The reason that it's upsetting to me is because you're talking about the powerful connection and attraction you have with someone in a relationship. Is it that powerful?
This one is a little bit wild, but there's a guy I work with. His girlfriend used to work there too, and we all work together. Long story short, he started hovering around me, and his girlfriend became suspicious. Nothing ever happened between us, but there has always been a very deep connection and powerful attraction between us.
My question is, if it was that powerful, though, why isn't he with you, though? Okay. Let me finish your question. I don't want to get upset.
Became so noticeable that his girlfriend started moving into my space and seemed to be monitoring him around me. What I've noticed is that whenever she is around, he pulls his energy away from me, but every time, eventually, he seems to come back around. It's almost like this cycle keeps repeating itself, whether we accidentally run into each other outside of work or through the spiritual side of what I experience.
I'm not going to freak out. I understand it's your question. I'm not going to freak out.
including astral projection.
I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to freak out.
I know this sounds a little wild, and there are a lot of
It's not the fact that you feel a spiritual connection with him. Feeling a spiritual connection with the guy is not a weird statement. It's the fact you're talking about this with someone who's actively in a relationship. Because if he wanted you that badly, why not at least be single?
spiritual and emotional layers to the situation. Recently, I changed my shift. His girlfriend left the job, and now he has also changed his shift to the same one I'm working. I honestly don't know what to expect moving forward.
Expect that he's in a relationship, so you shouldn't expect anything from a man in a relationship.
The truth is, I really do like him, and I would like to have him for myself. I know there are complicated and potentially inappropriate parts to that, especially given the history, but I can't deny how strong this connection feels to me.
This is also at work. Okay, let me let you finish.
So, how do I navigate this connection and figure out what it actually means without getting myself caught up in something unhealthy or crossing boundaries?
The way you figure out what it actually means is by asking yourself, is he still with his girlfriend or not? That's how you figure that out. Keep your life simple. If a man, because again, I'm not going to pretend like it's the first time I've heard a story like this. There's many women that I help coach. They're trying to date a married man. But let me just let you in on this, okay? If he really had such a strong connection with you, physically and spiritually, and it was that amazing, why doesn't he just break up with his girlfriend? Because the way you're describing it, the connection that you have with him is even better than his connection with his girlfriend. So what's the reason to keep another girl in a position of girlfriend when clearly his connection with you is much stronger than that of his girlfriend? Do you see how that doesn't really make a lot of sense? Because we live in a day and age where you can break up with someone over text. It's not like he's married to her. So if it's that simple to end the relationship and your connection is so strong, why doesn't he just take action on it? This is why I say clarity for you is just simply asking yourself, is he even single? Has he even made space for us to explore our romantic connection by breaking up with his girlfriend? If he hasn't, he's not nearly as serious about this relationship as you imagine him to be. Sometimes what can happen is, because I'm not denying that he's flirting with you. I'm not denying that at all. I'm not denying that you guys share looks. I'm not denying he probably says some things that you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe you said that. What I'm saying, though, is if you're wondering what to do with that information, wonder no more outside of, did he break up with his girlfriend? If he hasn't, nothing he's doing matters. None of the flirting matters. None of the connection matters. None of the, if he touches you or whatever, none of it matters. And I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying, you're asking me what to do with it. Do nothing with it. In fact, ignore it. In fact, ignore him unless he's going to break up with his girlfriend, because what's going to happen is now you guys are working the same shift. And I believe you said his girlfriend is no longer working that shift. So as you continue to go deeper and deeper into this, you're going to feel like you're in a relationship with the guy you're not in a relationship with. Not to mention as well, you didn't mention actually hanging out outside of work. You just mentioned seeing each other outside of work, like maybe outside of the workplace when you finish your shift or something. Because I'm assuming you guys aren't hanging out one-on-one outside of work. And so also remember, because I tell women this all the time whenever they're talking about dating a man that they work with, if a guy is flirting with you at work, remind yourself, he is getting paid to be there. And ask yourself, is he spending his free time that he's not getting paid, to actually talk to me and hang out with me? If a guy is only willing to hang out with you or go to lunch with you or flirt with you in the times in which he's getting paid, and on a Saturday night when he's free to do whatever he wants with his schedule, he's not hitting you up or calling you or texting you or wanting to hang out with you, well, then you know that it's convenient for him to flirt with you while he's already getting played, being in the place he would already have to do. But when it's time to make a choice to be with you, when he's not getting paid and maybe he might even have to spend some bread of his own, now all of a sudden he's not as interested in spending time with you. That tells you how serious a guy is about you. Okay? All right. I'm trying to figure out, okay? This one comes from Lyra or Lyra. We'll say Lyra, okay?
How do you phrase being in a transitory period of life in a positive way? I've been in survival mode for quite a few years, and I've been working hard to become a person I love and am happy with this past year. But I feel really behind from all my peers now in my career and life's purpose.
So this is why I love adding the age as well. Lyra, you are 25 years old. Okay? Do you know how old I am? I am 29. Okay? My point being is there is lots of time for you to catch up, and you're not nearly as behind as you imagine yourself to be. Make no mistake as well, Lyra. What you see on social media is not real. All the 25, like the 25-year-olds that you see driving Lamborghinis, that's not a majority of the population. Even if they all own the Lamborghinis, which most of them don't, that's not a representation of how majority of people are actually living. Even your regular friends that are in your area that you grew up with, you might think they're doing amazing because of what they post on their Instagram. That doesn't necessarily mean that their life is amazing. Understand, when you look at people's Instagram and stuff like that, you're seeing a highlight of their lives, literally, okay? All the stories, all the main feed posts, all the everything, a highlight of their life. Rarely does anyone get on social media and tell you how poorly their situation or their life or work is going, okay? So my point being is, do not compare your real life, meaning the ups and downs of your real life, with the highlights of others, and believe that you are behind simply because you don't have the same highlights or as many highlights, or everything is not amazing all the time like it is for all these other people. Also understand that your Instagram and your algorithm is curated to show you the most jarring and shocking things. A 19-year-old buying a Lamborghini is jarring and shocking in nature. So those type of posts goes viral. The girl with the huge BBL that's married to a rapper or married to an NBA player, and she's living in a huge mansion, and her man just brought her a bouquet of roses that she can't even wrap her arms around, and there's gold everywhere. She gets ready in a gold bathtub and a gold sink, and she showers in gold. Like, again, that content is shocking in nature and is definitely not how most people live. So that content goes viral, that content gets fed to you. And so on a regular basis, you're seeing the most shocking lifestyles of all time. And then you start to believe that every 25-year-old is showering in gold. And because you're not doing that, that you're behind at 25. I promise you, I'm really being really honest with you. Like, majority of people, and I live in Toronto, right? Majority of my friends from high school at 30 years old, there's a lot of them that still haven't figured their life out, don't even have real careers. And some of them that are literally just starting their career and just figuring their life out. Okay, I'm just being super real with you. And I live in a big city. So if I live in a big city and there's plenty of friends that I have that are still figuring life out in their 30s, I promise you at 25, you're not nearly as behind as you imagine yourself to be. 1,000%. Okay? Let's go on to our next question here. This one comes from Ashley. Okay, let's see what Ashley has to say.
Hey, Tomlinson. Men usually
That's not how you spell my name. It's Tomisin. Okay? Just for reference.
assume I have a big social media following when they meet me, but in reality, I only have burner accounts. I take really good care of myself IRL, but just haven't developed my online presence yet. How do I present this to men without looking like a girl that totally off the grid or coming off secretive? Mwah.
Well, I don't think that there's an issue with you if you are even off the grid or you only have burner social media accounts. That's not, like, you're saying it like that's a bad thing. If you want to have social media to boost, the amount of people that see you on a regular basis, you can do that. If you also don't want to do that because that's not who you are, that's fine. Like, I think that you're building a limiting belief that men will see you as worse because you don't have a social media presence when there's not like I'm of a firm belief that if it, let's just say hypothetically men had a choice, they would rather a beautiful woman that is their woman not have a crazy social media presence than have a crazy social media presence. So if anything, it's actually a plus. I'm not saying that either one is bad, but I'm saying if anything, it's actually a plus. So I don't see why you believe you have to like compensate for that. If you like taking pictures, but you're not super big on posting them, that's okay. That's like perfectly fine. Like be yourself. But what I want you to do, rather than thinking how should I change my social media presence, is present that in a way where you're in control of the narrative. It's an action that you've purposely taken, as opposed to, I can't really get a lot of followers and I wish people would follow me and I'm trying to get more followers, but nobody seems to like me. Do not make yourself a victim, like we just talked about earlier today. Make it that I made an active choice that I'm not going to be on social media like that. I don't enjoy it. I don't need the validation from it. It's just not my thing. Take control of the narrative and say, I took the action because I made a decision of how I want to present myself. This is how I want to present myself. I promise you, men will appreciate you being you and not being like, hey, I need to do what everyone else is doing, because it will show that you are an independent thinker. You are not easily influenced by what others do or don't do, which is a great positive character trait to have for any partner. I would love to have a partner that is an independent thinker that doesn't just do things because they see other people doing them. But what you must do is you must stand on it and stand up for yourself and make it like when you're having conversations with people, put that at the forefront before they even get a chance to ask you. I see you don't have many. Let them know. Oh, I'm not really that big on social media. I don't post myself like that. I'm not really that. I don't like doing that stuff. That's just not my style, so I don't do it. Step on it. When I say step on it, it's like jump out the window with it, where you tell people, this is me, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm about. I don't apologize for it because I don't need to. Okay, Ashley? Let's go on to our next question. This one comes from Essay. Okay.
Thompson, hi. I love your show. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you for being a girl's girl. So my question is, recently a guy said while we were on a date, he was like, I like you. And I giggled and I said, of course, who doesn't? He took it well. We laughed about it. And I'm not sure if I went about that the right way, but I genuinely feel that way, so I wasn't gonna lie. What are your thoughts on this? Bye.
That's great. I don't see any problem with that. I know sometimes it can feel a little bit uncomfortable to, like, when someone gives you a compliment, you're like, wait, am I supposed to compliment you back? No, not necessarily. Like, rid yourself of the feeling that when someone compliments you, you need to compliment them back, or you need to be like, I don't have a problem if you say thank you or I appreciate that or whatever. Of course, being grateful and just saying thank you is also good. But I don't see a problem with saying, of course, in a jokingly manner, right? I've said that before. I've said something along those lines before in a jokingly manner. It's okay. You're having a little bit of fun, right? Now, of course, nobody likes someone who's obnoxious, where it's like anytime you give them a compliment, you're just, yes, of course I'm the queen. Don't you see how much of the, it's like, okay, right, that's a lot. But if you just said that in passing one time where you're on a date and you're having a joke, like, let's be so for real. Most of the time, the people that look good, they know they look good. Like, we're not dumb, okay? If you have a fat ass, you know you have a fat ass. So when people tell you, damn, that ass fat, you know you have a fat ass. But you like hearing it. But it's okay. We all understand attractive people, for the most part, know they're attractive. So it's not like if you make a joke about knowing that you're attractive, that I can't believe you would say that, okay? Secure guys, if he's giving you a compliment, is not gonna have a problem with you. Oh, I know, of course you like me, look at me, right? That's funny. Who cares? It's not that big. Don't put too much pressure on yourself about that. Now, of course, don't go overboard and be obnoxious about it, but don't put too much pressure about making a little jokey joke. It's a little jokey joke, okay? Megan is our next question here. Let me just refresh the page, make sure I have all the questions. Okay, this one comes from Megan, 38, in the United States.
Hey, Tomisin, I am a Black woman, later 30s, dating in Los Angeles. Honestly, I tapped out for a really long time. Like, I just couldn't do it. But I had a friend of a friend that ended up hooking me up with this guy that's in tech. I did know of him. We talked for a month. He came out here.
Tech makes very good money. and you're in Los Angeles, if he's in Silicon Valley, if he's working for a startup, these startup guys, they go from 0 to 100 real fast. Just FYI.
We went on some cute dates. You know, he stayed in the hotel down the street. He did kind of like not force himself, but like he didn't really he did kind of like try to like kiss me and press up on me a little bit. And I mean, I didn't really necessarily mind because we had been talking for a month, but obviously now looking back, that was a red flag. I feel like, you know, he should have had a little bit more respect if he wanted to see me long term. But he acted like he wanted everything that I wanted. And of course, you know, like I want the whole kids family situation. And he acted like he was up for that. And I mean, I have really decent boundaries considering I haven't dated in a while. I mean, at least I tried. Like, I watched all of your videos before we'd go out on dates. Like, I was literally like, really like drawing lines in the sand, willing to walk away if he was like not acting correctly. But he came out a couple times. We had a really good time. He treated me like literally better than any guy has ever had in a specific way of like gifts and like dates and whatever. But the red flags with him were like I felt like he kind of thought he could do like better than me, which was crazy because he was not good looking at all. He was short. He was 43, and like I feel like he thought he could have like an Instagram baddie.
How long is his money? I'm gonna be super real. Like, this is real life. How long was his bread? That will determine if he's really capable of pulling an Instagram body. I'm not saying like, cause it's all a combination. It's not just the height. It's not just the looks. If you can make up with the money long, okay, we could talk about you in an Instagram body. Now, if the money not long, short, unattractive, now you're delusional, okay? But you didn't, I don't know. You said tech, you said California. I'm thinking Silicon Valley. Now I'm not sure. The money long, cause some of these employees in Silicon Valley getting paid crazy. So I don't know. You didn't mention how long the money is.
It's crazy because he was not good looking at all. He was short. He was 43. And like, I feel like he thought he could have like an Instagram baddie. He signed into my YouTube account. Well, he signed into his account on my TV, and like I could look at his search history and he'd be watching like red pill type of stuff. And then basically things kind of ended when he acted like he was going to move to Dallas or whatever, which obviously I live in California, but at first he was acting like he was down to live in California. So I was really sick. I was so sad when we stopped talking.
Sorry, you said he's in Dallas. Wait, he acted like he was going to move to Dallas. Okay.
This kind of ended when he acted like he was going to move to Dallas or whatever, which obviously I live in California, but at first he was acting like he was down to live in California. So I was really sick. I was so sad when we stopped talking, and like literally lost like 15 pounds, just stayed in bed, like was just so depressed.
Damn.
And got my little revenge body, took some fire photos, and I blocked him, but then I unblocked him when my birthday was coming up just to see if he was going to like spin the block. And of course he texted me like, I want to send you some flowers, blah, blah, blah. He sent me the flowers.
You unblocked him on your birthday? What were you looking to get on your birthday? Don't get me mad.
Prior to my photos being posted, and we don't follow each other, but I unprivated my photo, and he sent some like roses, and I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, he just was like, thanks for the chapter we shared, but they were like red roses, 2 dozen. It's like crazy, and I'm still super sad about it.
Wait, but you so are you asking what does it mean? Or let me see if you sent like a part 2. I'm assuming you're asking like what it all means that he sent that many roses. Let me go back here. What I would say is it doesn't really seem like you're that keen on being in a relationship with this guy. It seems more like you like that he's kind of like pretty into you, and I feel like the way that you're talking is you in your mind you're like, bruh, I'm like the baddest you could get. Like, don't you see me? Like, I'm bad as hell, and so you're kind of like, you should worship me. And when he's not worshiping you, you're kind of like, who the hell do you think you are to not worship me? But I don't think, which again, I'm not going to say whether that's right or wrong, but I don't think that there's any purpose. If you genuinely feel like you just, all you get out of him is like you like being worshiped by him and him going crazy for you, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't really serve you in terms of if your goal is to be in a long-term relationship and you genuinely don't see yourself being with him as like a partner. That's why I also said like how long is the money, because when you're saying that you're crying so much and you're so sick, you lost 15 pounds. It's like, were you losing the 15 pounds because you actually felt like I miss him and I want to be with him? Or you felt like, damn, his money long, I know I'd be living a good life if I was like with him? Like, which one is it really about? Because if you don't really genuinely feel like I really want him as a partner, which you didn't necessarily specify, then why be even sad about the situation? Because you want to acknowledge if your sadness is just coming from like, I don't like being rejected or feeling like I lost out on someone versus I actually want to be with that person specifically. Because I'm not really getting the vibes of I want to be with that person specifically, because you just mentioned, oh, he's short, he's 43, he's unattractive, he cannot pull no Instagram, but it's like, that's not really how you talk about someone that you're excited to be with. So that's my concern there. And I think what your process should be is evaluating, like outside of the rejection or him moving and stuff like that, do I actually want to be with this guy for real? Because if the answer is no, go back to blocking him and move on with your life. Because just using him for validation is a purposeless activity. Like you're not really going to feel better about yourself continuing to use him for validation every now and again. Okay. Kinga sends a message. Kinga's 32 from Poland. I don't think I've ever heard that. You guys have some interesting names.
Man from work is showing interest, but afraid to ask me out for 3 years. He panics when he sees me, but happy laughing with girls from the team. Any advice?
You're saying he panics when he sees you? Okay, so if we're talking about like a shy guy, listen to me very carefully, okay? In this community where I talk about do nothing for men, you do not give shy men the light of day. Point blank, period. Shy men will hold no space in your heart. Shy men will get none of your time. And shy men definitely are not getting in between your legs. Let's be very clear. They don't get no access. The reason I say this is because you have to be very serious and cognizant of the shy men will make you suffer. Especially in a relationship with them, you will have to do all the work. You have to do all the planning, all the scheduling, all the organizing. You'll have to be such a masculine energy in your relationship with shy men, because it's not just being shy at the beginning, it's being shy for the rest of the relationship because they're too scared to upset you or do anything. So they take no action, which means you have to take all the action. So Kinga, to make this clear for you, do nothing for this guy. If he's panicking anytime you're around to the point where he can't just have a conversation with you, bruh, like, get over yourself. Put your big boy pants on and have a conversation if you want to have a conversation. If you can't, then for you, Kinga, you just got to be like, bro, like, I'm not doing this with you. Like, I'm not, what do you expect me to say? You think that I'm going to tell you, oh, ask him to go out to lunch together for a lunch break? Oh, go to his cubicle and start making, I will never tell you that. I would never advise you to do that. If he can't even come up to you, have a conversation with you, you guys have been working together for 3 years. Come on, man. Come on. No. You do nothing for this guy if he can't approach you. You're just a girl, okay? Like I understand you might be super pretty. You might have the fattest of fat asses. He's so mesmerized he can't even think straight. But at the end of the day, like if he needs to get over himself and like just approach a woman. Like we can't still be doing this. We're not in high school anymore. Okay? Let's go on to our next question. This one comes from Cleopatra, 36 in India.
Hi, Tomisin. As always, great show. This new setup is good, where you're taking live Q&A. But Discord relationship questions had their own charm, where women had written their story in more detail to get the whole perspective. And I loved your reactions to some absurd questions where you needed to get up and stretch. Hehehe. Anyway, I would love it if you don't ignore Discord questions completely, and sometimes just mix things up. New changes are welcome and much appreciated, but please keep some of the foundation of your channel. It's just a suggestion. After all, it's your show, your rules. Information you share is always top-notch.
Yes, I don't want to, it's not that I wanted to neglect the Discord to answer your question. The reason that I transitioned to this is because I know there are a plethora of different ages and age ranges here. Some of them are like, I don't even know how to work Discord. You get what I'm saying? I know Discord for some people that are on the younger side are like, oh yeah, easy. I already have a Discord. I'll just make it. Some people on the older side are like, bro, like, I don't know how to work Discord. I don't know how to make a message. I don't know how to do any of this. But being able to just submit their question into me like this is much more easier. And the format that I have it in is so that we can get through a plethora of questions in a much more smoother format, right? Like, it's not that I'm against the Discord, but obviously I have to read the question out, and then sometimes people mess up in the information that they give, and then also sometimes people tend to be a little bit long-winded with their question in a way that, yes, I understand they want to add detail, but at the same time, it's also an experience of, theater or entertainment when we're watching this stuff. And so this way, because I can't control how Discord is formatted in the way that you can see stuff, part of the beauty of this is that because you send it into me, we can do things like you can see the name of the person, you can see their age, relevant information, we can see how long the message is. If it's a text, it can be read out in a smoother way that gets through the whole message quickly. And then if they can send in a voice message, which another thing that I can't do on Discord, there's no way to properly regulate stuff. And now if someone sends in a question, when those of you might be listening to me at work or listening to me on the train or something like that, you can both hear me and hear the person reading the question at similar volumes and things like that, but you can also now read the words and there's like a follow along. So a lot of this UI, I know some of you aren't tech people. I think Marlboro said she's a tech person, but some of you that aren't as, tech savvy, you have to understand that like a lot of the stuff that we do to make it a much more palatable and entertaining show is only able to be done if I have my own curated like submission hub and ways that I can customize things, because if I use these other platforms, they put you inside a template that you can only do so much with that template. And so I can't necessarily adjust things specifically for how you guys like to do it. So now the way that this works is in the future, if we ever have other elements of the show or the way that you guys want to submit questions, and even being able to submit video questions, which is another thing that I'm going to add in the future, it's like none of that stuff is really possible with Discord, and even being able to take live calls, which I'm actually going to implement in the near future as well, from all of you, like literally live calls. You can ask me a question, we can go back and forth. All of that stuff is only possible with a controlled, curated environment that belongs to me, as opposed to a platform that has a template. So that's why I do that way. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Let's go to let me mark this down here. But that's a good question. I appreciate that question. Jackie is 39 in the Philippines. Okay, Jackie, let's see what you have to say.
Hi, Tomisin. My question is that I'm a 30-plus-year-old single female, but I'm inexperienced. I've never had a boyfriend before. I've never had relationships. I don't have experience in pineapples, but I don't want to continue living alone. So, what advice and strategies, dating tips would you advise a inexperienced girl in dating and relationships? If for example, the guy would ask me what's my experience like, how do I go about it, especially I have no experience in pineapple. So what strategies would you advise? I was very focused on my career and studies. So I'm a
Sorry, pause for me. Sorry, let me just go back here a little bit.
I was very focused on my career and studies. So I'm a doctor, and then it just flew by, and I don't know, guys didn't take mind of me before, but now I'm dressing better, so I'm gaining more attention, but I don't know, I don't have the skills and strategy in dating. And I don't want to be fooled by guys, because there are a lot of girls who's had their hearts broken by guys, and I don't want to be a fool. And you are like the best with what you teach and the info that you share in YouTube. Thank you.
So anytime that you are feeling inexperienced in your relationships, the very first thing you must do to gain more experience is not go on dating apps and try and date as many men as you can in succession. It's by going out and starting by doing things that you enjoy and are passionate about. Because, and I know it's like, but that's not dating men. I know it's not. But when you put yourself out there, you actually give yourself an opportunity to come across men that you have shared interests with, shared passions with, and have these ongoing conversations that can be really interesting. And you never know how things could go, where things could go from there. But it always starts with putting yourself out there. When you start doing things that you genuinely enjoy doing, and not just doing them one time, but creating a routine out of it, maybe every Saturday, Sunday, Friday, whatever day, and you go with friends, you start to build community. You have friends that share those passions and interests that you met there, some friends that you bring along, that you bond with over these shared passions and interests. And then you start to build a sense of community where you have girlfriends that like the same things as you, that you go out to these things with. And then you start meeting guys there that you're like, huh, you know, this guy's kind of interesting. We've been having conversations, we're flirting back and forth, on top of the fact of, obviously, like you mentioned, putting effort into yourself. When I say putting effort into your look, it's not like, oh, like do this thing for the men. Putting effort into your look helps you feel even better about yourself, because when you look in the mirror, you feel good about yourself, you feel pretty, you feel feminine. That helps you in your confidence when you talk to guys, because you don't feel like, oh, he probably thinks I'm, like, you feel attractive. So you talk and speak as someone who's attractive with confidence, which is even more attractive. And so that process starts with when you put yourself out there. Now you can get a chance to learn, what do I like? What am I interested in? Okay, I'm having a conversation with this person. How is it going? How am I feeling about it? How do I flirt better? How do I, spin myself out of a situation where I don't want to talk to this person, right? Like, and you just get better at conversating, being around people, and being in, different dynamics. It's just reality, right? And then as you grow in that understanding, it's not the experience you have with interacting with people on a regular basis will then be translated to the experiences that you gain in dating, because dating human beings is the same as interacting with human beings. It's just a slightly different approach because it's a romantic date, but you're still learning about people. You're still asking questions. You're still getting to know the person. You're still flirting. Sometimes you'll flirt with people that are friends. Sometimes you'll flirt with people that are coworkers. Like, it's like all of the skills that you'll develop in just going out there and doing things that you love to do and that you find interesting will be perfectly applicable to your dating life and will get you closer to meeting someone who you can actually date. So it starts with that. And I know you might be thinking, well, I don't know what I like to do. Well, then now you know where to start. Start figuring out what is it that you enjoy doing and how can you get there and go there and spend some time there doing that thing on a regular basis, okay? This message comes from Christina. Christina is 36 in Canada, okay?
Hi, Tomisin, it's Christina from Other Day. I'm leaving my BF and moving out as he's been cheating on me. I didn't tell him that I know he's cheating. He was my high school sweetheart. We got BK together after 10 years. He was good to me, generous, took me on trip right away, bought me bag and gifts, took me nice dinners, flowers, always paying for everything, said he wanted marriage and baby. But he was in biker gang, and I felt he wasn't serious.
By the way, this isn't the AI interpreting what she's saying. This is actually what she said. So you didn't put plurals in your message, Christina. You put like a bunch of singulars. Okay, it's okay.
He wanted marriage and baby. But he was in biker gang, and I felt he wasn't serious for marriage. Too much hanging out and chilling with groups of people, including women always. I didn't want to commit to this. I was hesitant. I moved in with him, then he started neglecting me, going out multiple times a week, sleeping with other women, acting like he didn't want to be around me. Barely talking, but he was paying bills. I finally told him I'm moving out now. He's switching up, asking me why I'm leaving. If I'm tired of him, what can he do to change to make me happy? We can even move to a nicer place, blah blah. We haven't had sex in months. He was acting like a playboy, like he was done with me. Now the switch up, and I told him we can discuss it on weekend.
No.
Should I tell him I...
No. No discussion. No. I mean, you can say that. No discussion.
know about all the women he cheated on me with.
No.
And all his lies.
Don't tell him none of that. He's just going to make excuses and tell you lies.
I saw his phone. We have no ties. I can leave easily. Started looking for my place. How should I behave during our conversation? Hi, Tomisin.
I'm actually being very serious about this. Pretend like you're going to have this conversation with him and just leave. Like leave the day before or something. Please, I'm begging you, Christina, do not talk to him about like, you have to understand what to expect from men. He is not going to let you go without a fight. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, he's going to fight for me. I don't mean that type of fight. I mean, he's going to make sure that he keeps control over you and that you don't step out of line by having self-respect. You have to understand, with some of these men that disrespect you, they become so accustomed to disrespecting you, they are shocked when you attempt to have self-respect. So they try to get you back in line by apologizing or explaining themselves. And really what it is they're like, whoa, look, ma'am, you're not supposed to be having self-respect. Let's just, do a thing where we pretend like I'm sorry, go back to your place where you're supposed to be, which is docile, let me cheat, let me do things how I want to do. But you stay here so that you can be convenient for me when I need you to be. Do not try and have self-respect, because that's not how we've been doing things. You're supposed to be, oh, I don't see nothing that's going on, but you cheat all the time, right? That's what you're supposed to be. So, yeah, I want you to understand, this conversation that you're going to have with him is not going to be productive. He is not going to take accountability for the things that he's done. Anything you bring up, because you're like, should I bring up all the girls I know? Why? Do you think he's going to be like, you know what, Christina? You're so right. I've been wrong in treating you this way and going up about our relationship and our situation this way, and I should have been a better person to you, and I should have treated you better in the... Why would he do that? Why would he do that? He's going to lie. He's going to tell you these girls meant nothing to him. He's going to tell you that, he didn't actually penetrate her, he just got head. Or he's going to tell you that, oh no, this girl's lying on me, she hates me, and she da-da-da. It is all pointless. You have already observed what you needed to observe from him. You already have all the information that you need to have. What is even the point of showing him that you have the information? There's no point, because the end goal and the decision is the same, which is you leaving. So you're showing him, oh, I've seen that you cheated on me with this many girls. So he can lie, and then what happens? You leave anyways. So just leave, right? Make your life simple. There's nothing productive that will come from this conversation. If he was ever sorry, he would have shown you that he was sorry much before this. If it was like, oh, he cheated with one girl one time, sure, maybe there's a conversation to be had. But time after time again, cheating with different women over and over and over again, on top of the fact you guys weren't even having sex for months. No conversation. Absolutely no conversation. You can pretend that you're gonna have one with him and just leave. Just to keep the peace, so he's not begging you while he's still able to see you. Okay? Laura just did one. So let me give Tina, or I guess this is a voice message. So we'll see what Laura has to say.
Hi, love you, love your show. You give the best advice. I just wanted to ask, is there a way that you would recommend going about meeting people? Because there's a lot of like online mixers that you can sign up for and pay for. I know there's always like the cliche, like take a workout class or something, but I feel like there's just no organic ways to really meet people.
That's a limiting belief. That's a limiting belief. Let me show you, Lyra. I'm not trying to make you, seem dumb, but I want to show you. I want to show you how this is a limiting belief. Watch what I'm about to do. So we're gonna go to TikTok, okay? And I know this is kind of hard to see for some of you. We're gonna go to TikTok, and I'm gonna show you all something amazing here, okay? So let's say, where are you from? You're from the United States. Let's just say you live in, let's just say, we'll put a super huge city. We'll put Dallas. Things to do in Dallas, I just searched it up on TikTok, okay? So let's click on the first video here. Can I play this? Can I hear this? Where's the sound here? Why is it not playing? Sorry, I just want to hear the sound. There we go. Top 5 things to do in Dallas. Let's see what this guy has to say. Move this over a bit. Oops. You guys get the point, right? Let me just pull this over a little bit. There we go. And then I'll do like this. Just real quick. I just want to show you guys a point here. So let's play this video.
Dallas, Texas. Number 1, drive around Highland Park. Number 2, sit on your phone at home. Number 3, Katy Trail. Number 4, drive around Highland Park. Number 5, go to Italy and get all the free samples. Honorable mention, Skellig, if you want an extended version of pledging. Top 5 most fun things to do in Dallas, Texas. Number 1.
I don't know what any of these things mean, but there's TikTok right there. Let's go to another
There's
video.
so many good things opening in Dallas soon, it's almost hard to keep track. So allow me to break it down for you and tell you some you should have on your radar. Got my research ready. First up, we have Juliet Steak, which I believe is opening by the end of this month. A movie-themed supper club from Houston that's opening in the Design District. Sun Life Organics is coming to the Katy Trail. There's Superfood Cafe with smoothies, bowls, juices, healthy options. Everything is made with super clean, natural ingredients. I know everyone knows about Elefante, but I do know that they will be opening within the next 2 weeks. I've been to the one in Santa Monica. I love their food, their pasta. Romy, which is opening on Henderson. It's a cafe by day and American restaurant by night.
Okay, so my point being, okay, not to get too long-winded here, is do you see how that took me about 30 seconds to go on TikTok and literally type in things to do in a random city, and a bunch of people, a bunch of creators literally just gave me a bunch of stuff that are available to do. Now I know some of them were like restaurants and some of them were like, you know, just different things. Maybe not all of them interest you, but my point being is there's a bunch of stuff going on in your area around you that you are deciding that things aren't going on around you because maybe you only go to the same few things and you're not being creative with the things that you explore. Like for example, in my area, I live in Toronto. So in my area, there's a place where you can go to create perfumes. And you literally can go with a partner or someone and you can make a perfume from scratch. Any scent that you want, they have a bunch of different ingredients and combinations that you can make. And so you can make one and then you could take the perfume home, right? It's like a fun little activity. There's another place in Toronto where you can make a carpet, like literally make I actually have one because one of my friends went and then they made me a carpet. So my point being is it's a limiting belief to believe that there's nothing available to do in the city or the cities around you because there's lots to do. But you have to start with, obviously, what are you interested in? There's even like, for example, if you like sports, you can join co-ed leagues. There's co-ed pickleball, there's co-ed volleyball, where you can literally join a league where you play with both guys and girls, and you can learn teamwork, you can get a chance to meet other people. Thinking that there's no organic ways to meet people is a very, very limiting belief that is very untrue. You have to decide that, no, there is ways to meet people, and I will meet them. I just have to put myself out there and obviously decide what it is that I enjoy doing, right? Because you don't say, oh, I'm gonna go to a club or a bar. That's boring, but also that's not centered around a passion or an interest that you have. Of course, it's gonna feel like, oh, this is so boring, this is so typical when you're going somewhere that you don't really care to be. Now, if it's something you're interested in, then all of a sudden it doesn't feel like work to go there because you would be there on your own. So if let's say, because you mentioned workout classes, if that's not your thing, then that's fine. Mixers, if that's not your thing, that's fine. But find what is your thing. And when I say what is your thing, the thing that you can do that even if it wasn't men there, or even if you didn't meet the perfect man, you'd still enjoy doing it because that's just your vibe.
Anymore, you know, like everyone's so hyper independent and hyper individualist that they don't even, like, it feels like you can't even bump into someone at a coffee shop anymore.
Again, limiting belief. In my private community, okay, I have a woman that I'm helping in my private community. By the way, the link is in the description if any of you want to join that. I have plenty of women in my community, but one of them, she even has little to no experience in her dating life. And she started going to a coffee shop and she's like, Tomisin, you need to help me because I've been going to this coffee shop and you've been recommending me go out more and put myself out there. Now I go to this coffee shop regularly. You want to know what my problem is? The baristas are having an issue with guys coming up to them and asking for my number. And the barista feels uncomfortable with giving all these guys my number, so the barista doesn't know what to do. We had to have a conversation and we need to come up with a plan because I don't want random guys getting my number, but all these guys are asking about me when they see me in the coffee shop. Tomisin, what should I do? And this is a real situation I had to help her with. I said, look, what you need to do is you need to give the barista your Instagram. Her Instagram is private. You don't necessarily have to follow these men back, but you can at least get a chance to see who these men are. And then the barista can make you aware, oh yeah, Steven, he came into the coffee shop, he was asking about you. This is a woman with little to no relationship experience, but just from simply putting herself out there on a routine, the men were, please, can you, who is she? What's her name? I've been seeing her here a couple times, or I've seen her when she was leaving, or do you know who she is? Can I get, I'm telling you, it is a limiting belief to think to yourself that people don't meet organically. People 100% meet organically. You have to put yourself out there to even be able to answer that question. The problem is you've decided that people don't meet organically, so you've already literally crossed out all the different possibilities. So then what will happen is you'll say, well, the best thing for me to do is just sit in my house and do nothing. Maybe Prince Charming will come knocking on my door that way. That will never happen.
So I just wondered like how you go about that, or how you would recommend trying to like get out there and meet people.
It starts with your mindset and really believing that you can actually meet people outside. But then the second part of that is finding out what your interests are, which actually, I'll be honest with you, some things are perfectly, I get them a lot. So not everything is for YouTube. In my private community, I have actually, Lyra, addressed this exact topic, but in specific detail, and gave you specific instructions on specifically how to do research for you, your city, to find, well, first of all, figure out what your interests are, and then from there, take that information and then find out the places that would be available to you to be able to meet more people. So Lyra, and any of you who are watching this show that feel like you struggle with the same thing, join my private community because I have lessons and worksheets that are literally designed to take you through every detail of the process. Of course, I can't share it all here, not because I don't want to, but those lessons are like 3-4 hours long. You get, like, I go through every single thing. I literally screen, like, it's a whole process. So for those of you that want that level of in-depth knowledge, that's available in my community, and it's the link in my description there, okay? I work with only the women who are actually like serious about seeing a difference in their relationships, okay? Lyra, that's Lyra's question there. This one comes from Tina. Okay, let's see what Tina has to say. We'll do that one.
Steps how to change situationship to relationship.
That's a general vague question. Tina, come back to me with a specific situation about specifically what you're going through. It's too much of a general question for me to just understand how to answer it with no context, okay? Megan, I think Megan is back again from last time. We'll do hers.
Oh my God, Tomisin, thank you so much for answering my question. Just to give a little more context, so he was living in Reno for Microsoft, but I think what kind of tech he was doing, I think AI could kind of probably maybe take that over a little bit. Like he was like maybe in supply chain or something. I mean, he did have his MBA or whatever, so I guess he can use that to fall back.
Don't say he had his MBA or whatever. If he had his MBA, he's not no slouch now, okay? Like, give him some credit now.
But basically he so he was coming from Reno, which is nothing is out there. So I was honestly probably filling up his boredom time, and he knew that he was potentially needing to move because like they were doing cuts at his job. And he was also doing day trading and stuff like that. I don't know how serious he was about that. I know he eventually wants to go into that full time, but he's not there yet. But I think it was just like the lifestyle that I thought I could have with him. Like if I asked him to go to the store for me and get me like a Red Bull, he'd get me like 2 different flavors or whatever, because he didn't know like
what it's sounding like is more than you actually like the guy, you like that you felt like he worshiped you. Which I'm not saying it's bad to, want guys to really be into you, but I don't get the sense that it was more about him as opposed to the fact that you felt like, damn, he's going to worship me and I'm the best that he can do.
What I liked, or, like he was just like kind of would do above and beyond stuff that like my dad would kind of do. And I like really fucking like that. But initially,
which is fine. But do you like him?
No, I was not attracted to him.
Thank you for the answer.
And, we saw each other for about 6-7 months. I end up sleeping with him. I waited like till month like 5. So I really like waited a really long time.
Okay, but Megan, I do have to call you out. Did you wait because you are really having discipline and like you're really like, or were you waiting because you're not really even that attracted to him anyway? So it's easier to wait when is not throbbing. You get what I'm saying? Like, put yourself around a man where you're throbbing. The way he talks to you, the way he looked, the way he smiled, the way he touched you, you're throbbing. And then put yourself around him when you're ovulating. Is it going to be the same? I'm not saying you don't have self-control, but I'm saying, is this more about you having complete discipline? Or is this about the fact that you're just not that attracted to him, so it's easy to hold it off?
Like I said, try to have really good boundaries, whatever the case may be. But he acted like, again, he wanted what I wanted. And I mean, I'm 38, so it's my best friend's husband's best friend. I was like, this is perfect. Like, he's you know, gonna move here and we're gonna figure this out and we're gonna.
I don't like that. So you're doing it more of out of convenience. Oh, it's my best friend's husband's best friend. So it's like perfect. We can do double dates and all that other stuff. I'm not saying that that's not cute, but at the same time, it's like, do you like him? Right? Like you have to always self-evaluate. How do I feel about the person? Outside of all the other things that come with the person, how do I feel about the person?
Like have these babies and whatever. But again, he played on my top. So the type of stuff he was watching was like how to attract young attractive young women without looking desperate, or like weird shit. Just like he would be watching 20-year-old get ready with me day in the lives of like Instagram influencer baddie type of shit. And it's just like, bro, you're 43, you're balding.
Okay, so you know what this makes me feel like though? I'm gonna be honest with you, Megan. This kind of leads us into a different discussion, but I do think it's important to reference. He could be an OF watcher and subscriber. When you tell me he's 43, balding, watching videos about how to attract young, beautiful, hot, sexy women and not look desperate, like, it makes me concerned when you couple that with the fact that he's watching Instagram baddie get ready with me's, is he might be an OF subscriber, right? Because, you know, men pay. There's no way that these women could be making money from it if men don't pay. So it's got to be some men out there. And most of the time, it's going to be the men who struggle to get women. Someone said corn addict. Even some of the men that are OF subscribers and payers, it's not even about the corn addiction. It's more so about the feeling like I can't connect with women in real life. I definitely can't connect with beautiful, hot, sexy young women in real life. So my only way of accessing those women is subscribing to their OF. And then through their OF, I can send them messages that they're supposed to reply to. Most of these girls aren't replying on their OF. But these guys live in the fantasy that, oh, these girls that have OF with 1 million followers, they're going to be replying to me when I start paying for their OF, and I'm going to be able to get their time, and I'm going to be able to request videos and all this other stuff. So because they have no access to young, hot, sexy women and they don't know how to talk to them, they use that as an alternative to be able to get access to those women. They're just paying for that access. And most of the time, they're not even actually talking to those women. But for them, it's not even about whether or not they're talking to them. They just want to feel like they are. So they pay for that experience. But the reason I'm saying this, Megan, is because it is concerning to me when you say that. Trust me, I've been around the block. I've seen a lot of things, okay? And I'm on the other side of stuff where I know what the women are doing and how they structure their business and how the people that are managing them structure the business. So I know what really goes on here. This looks like perfect clientele. I'll be super real with you. This is perfect clientele. 43, works in tech, just enough money that he has extra money to spend, and can easily get sucked into the fantasy of what if I was with this sexy, hot, beautiful chocolate black woman with a huge basketball BBL ass. She looks like Aerie. She looks like Jada Chavez. He can be sucked into that. If I was running a business and I heard that you dated a man like this, I'd be like, please give me his name because I'll have his credit card within 24 hours. I'm telling you the truth, right? I know what the clientele looks like. So the other part of my question to you would be, is this even someone that you would want to be with when this is a very possible possibility for him to be this type of guy?
You're short. Like, I look the fuck good if I do say so myself. I mean, I'm not a fucking IG model or anything, but I live in LA. I take good care of myself. And to me, I don't feel like he was obsessed, and I didn't love that. It's like, if you're not obsessed, like, I can't do it. And of course, attraction grew with me because it's like, if we're doing so many things together, like, I love that. So I basically do agree.
Yeah, but you be saying attraction grew with me, but is it attraction to the fact that he be doing so much for you? Or is it like, because again, you can be attracted to the fact that someone worships you. I'm telling you to even I'm not immune to that, right? Like, I've been attracted to people not because of them, but because they worship me. Like, it's human nature. If someone get down on your knees right now, and they get down on their knees bark like a dog for me. They bark like a dog for you. Like, go get me something from the fridge. Like, it can be enticing. But what I want you to understand is you're not attracted to the person. You're attracted to the fact that you worshiping me turns me on because it makes me feel sexy as hell. It makes me feel powerful as hell, right? There's a difference. And you have to accept the difference between you being attracted to him and you being attracted to the fact that he's obsessed with you and will worship you. Because those are two different versions of attraction. You know what I mean?
That I'm feeling it was like the rejection of it all and the life that I thought we could potentially have, because, you know, you might not be so attracted to your husband or whatever, but that all can grow.
Grow because of why though? Like, is it more growing just because he continues to be obsessed with you? I just, you know, I don't subscribe to the mentality, Megan. I know you live in LA, so this mentality is a little bit more rampant, but I don't subscribe to the mentality that you should sacrifice your attraction to a man, like physically, because he worships you and he'll pay for everything. Okay? Not saying your man shouldn't be obsessed with you. For sure, your man should be obsessed with you. For sure, your man should be wanting to spend money on you. But I don't subscribe to the idea that should, in order to get that, you have to sacrifice, be with an old man who's nasty, rusty, bald men can still be attractive. But you know what I mean? Just men who's just like, I definitely wouldn't date you if you didn't have money, right? I just don't subscribe to that ideology because you should be around a man it's throbbing for. It works very well for. You don't need to be ovulating. You don't need no lube. You don't need no nothing. It works for him. You should be with the man that it works for. And you can still get that man obsessed with you. You get what I'm saying? And have a relationship that fits all of the aspects. I'm not saying you have to live in a dark romance novel, but you can definitely still have a man that you very much feel attracted to, but also takes care of you very well. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And my concern is he's skewing too far into the obsession and worshiping you. But I also don't think that it's necessarily about you. I also think it might also be about, like you said, you look good. So if he's thinking, damn, this is the finest girl with the biggest ass that I can get access to, he's worshiping you, yes, but he's also worshiping you because he can't do any better than you, which is not the same, right? Someone said Squirtle be squirtlin' all over the place. And it should. You should be in a relationship where everything works and everything is lubricated and everything is flowing how it's supposed to flow. There's no crime in that. I am a firm believer that you all deserve a relationship like that, okay? All right, all of you beautiful people, that is the show for today. Don't worry, tomorrow what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna add in the element of reactions in our next show. Tomorrow's show is gonna be about, we'll see. I was gonna make today's show about it, but maybe we'll make tomorrow's show about how to handle a man when he hurts you. So I'll decide if I wanna do that or a different topic, but I'll be back tomorrow. And I'll be back around the same time. I wanted to get on early because I was just feeling an early vibe today. Okay, so I don't think we had any technical difficulties today. No weird stuff happening, so I'm glad every stream's getting better. Tomorrow I will add so we'll now have 3 segments. We'll have my lesson segment, then we'll have a reaction segment, and then your question segment. So there'll be a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow. So send me in on whether you want to send me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can't send me stuff on YouTube. If you want to put it in the Discord, you want to send it to me on Instagram, or you want to send it to me on TikTok, send me in things you want me to react to, and I'll try to put together a couple of videos that we'll watch together and react to as well tomorrow, okay? All right. Love you all. I'll see you all tomorrow on the show, and we will have a great time tomorrow, and have a good rest of your day. It's like the afternoon still. Awesome. I love you.